Hi, everybody. This is Tom the Culture Chap, and today I wanted to present a play to you in my series of comedies, but I couldn't quite figure out which one I wanted to do, and I realized the ones I was arguing about in my head were all by the same writer, Christopher Durang. So I'm presenting a playwright to you who has a lot of funny work. Okay? So it's Christopher Durang, and the plays I was vacillating with were Sister Mary Ignatius Explains It All to You, excellent play, or The Actor's Nightmare, both excellent pieces. Um, but I realized he has so many, and I'm just going to let them wash past all the names. He has short one acts, long one acts, full length plays, and musicals. The musical I like the best is Mrs. Bob Cratchit's Wild Ride. Anyway, it's very funny. Um, the concept came to me that there were a lot of high schools doing his short one acts, and then there were a lot of colleges and universities doing his one acts, especially when I'm abroad in the UK. They really like him and they're doing those. And then one university decided to work with the local theater, and they put on one of the one acts, a longer one act, as a play between the runs of the theater's normal works. This got a lot of patrons to come to that theater. They loved it. And the play was Sister Mary Ignatius. So they didn't make it any different. They still made it an American nun, Roman Catholic nun, explaining everything. There's one costume, there's universal experience with nuns. There is a lot of people growing up Catholic in those countries in the UK, and there's not much of a set, and the actress was excellent. And she was a third year going into her fourth year, so that's the time for a lot of students in Scotland at the conservatory in Glasgow to experiment with American accents and American plays directed by American directors. And this did really well, and it was inexpensive. And I think it really worked. So I'm saying maybe your theater could do some of the one acts or the short one acts as things between runs to get more people to come to your theater for a different experience. Now, the one I really wanted to present to you was The Actor's Nightmare, and I saw it presented in two different ways in the last year or two. The one was a very good production. Um, the concept of the play is that an accountant wanders onto an empty stage, and he suddenly is told by the stage manager, "There's 2 minutes to go. You're on." He's like, "I'm on. I'm an accountant." And he's suddenly thrust in the middle of Hamlet, and he doesn't know his lines. Terrible. And it was fine. It was well produced. But I thought it was funnier the next year when they presented it again with less of a set, better costumes, older actors, um, more experienced actors. I don't know how much older they were, but they were different actors that had a reputation in the area, and people were eager to see them. And they had a narrator, and the narrator came out and said, "I know this play should stand on its own, and you may remember it, but it did come out in the 80s, which was a while ago," which is true. And really, if you don't know what's going on, the actor's nightmare is someone who doesn't know their lines. We know this. You've read the social media, you've read all the information about this play to come see it. Wonderful. But think about it from your perspective. Have you had those nightmares, those dreams where you're at school or at the bank or in your business and you're naked and you don't know why and you can't speak? Or those nightmares where you're meant to give a presentation or a report in school or something and you don't know your lines at all and you can't get out of it and it just won't end? This is that experience. This is that experience for actors and actresses who are in pieces and they forget their lines. It's called going up or corpsing, whatever you want to call it in your country. And it doesn't happen frequently, but it can happen quite a bit. And It can happen to any actor at any time. For some unknown reason, they don't know their lines. Sometimes it's 2 lines, 3 lines, but what if it was a whole show and you didn't know any of your lines, and in your consciousness, you think, I'm not an actor, I'm just an accountant. How horrible would that be? This audience went crazy. They loved this idea, and they really understood what was going on in the play. They would have anyway, and it still would have been funny, but I think this sort of, hey, this could happen to you, look what's happening to him, aren't you glad it's not happening to you? That was good. That was very good. I think a lot of pieces they don't need a narrator, but having a little introduction could be good. Could be very good. Now, I'm recommending this playwright to you so that you can look at all his pieces and see which one suits your theater. And I'm not really talk about the rest of the pieces because I just did a really long video about the Edinburgh Fringe that was 40 minutes, and I think I should do some short videos, and this is one of them. So everything will be in the description to investigate this playwright. There's a lot about him online. You will like him. His stuff sells. Almost all of his pieces sell well. That's quite a statement. I'm not sure if I'm completely accurate, but the majority of his pieces sell extremely well, and that, I can say, is pretty accurate. Okay, there's some good stuff in there for you. Maybe you like my idea of doing some of the one acts, or the less expensive plays with less stuff and less costumes as something to do between shows in your season. That might work. Sometimes you want to present an evening of one acts. That's been working really well for people, getting people into seats. They like variety. The Christopher Durang sells well because he takes those nightmares, or as he said, he takes those awful situations, makes them worse, and puts them on stage. So you can watch the disaster and it's not happening to you. That sells. People like disaster stories, especially when it's not them. Okay. Check out Christopher Durang. Everything's in the description. You like him. All right. We'll talk again. Thanks.